Welcome back to Primetime Sports Monday. Jamaican athletes and their counterparts around the world look set to start benefiting from their personal sponsors during the Olympic Games. Kean Rayner tells us more.
A ruling delivered in a landmark case in Germany has resulted in a softening of the controversial Rule 40 of the Olympic Charter, which had been challenged by the likes of Johan Blake and Sanna Richards-Ross in the past. The Charter warns that no competitor or team official who participates in the Olympic Games may allow its person, name, picture, or sports performances to be used for advertising purposes during the Olympic Games. The IOC boss, Thomas Bach, says the athletes can now begin negotiations with their respective national Olympic committees, such as the Jamaica Olympic Association. Our sports desk saw the reaction of JOA President Christopher Samuda.
Well, I haven't seen the judgment in its entirety, but certainly that which has been reported in Inside the Games gives a clear indication of the softening of the rule. I think the commercial reality is now dictating positions. We have always had complaints from the athletes that during the Olympic period, they have not been able to advertise and get the benefit of their sponsorship agreements. And I think the IOC is listening intently to that. Sports
lawyer Stuart Stimson welcomes the development relating to Rule 40, which many saw as a restraint of trade.
I think it's a move in a positive direction, because the truth is what the ruling signifies is a testing of the anti-competitiveness of that provision. So what it's now saying is athletes, professional athletes who make their trade through their endorsements are able to benefit from their participation in the Olympic Games beyond simply placing and hoping for future benefit. So it's definitely a move in the right direction.
However, Samuda sought to temper the expectation of athletes.
But what has to happen is that we have to understand that the IOC as well as the NOC in the respective territories rely on sponsorship money in order to fund the Olympic movement and to put on the Games. If you have a diminution of that income, then the Games are at peril, are at risk, and then the athletes themselves, in terms of the competition, is at risk. So there has to be a delicate balance. Whereas I recognize that the athlete must earn from their sponsorship deals, we have to understand that the bigger picture, which is that the IOC and the NOC have sacred contracts, and they have to, of course, earn from those contracts in order to support the Olympic movement.
Outside of the athletes negotiating with the JOA, Stimson thinks the precedent has been set for Jamaican athletes to take their issue to the courts if required.
So what you see is that though it was tested through their courts, but it was tested and based upon an agreement and understanding reached. So that to me signals the ability for our local bodies to do that, and for the athletes of influence in particular to lead the charge.
The revised ruling will only apply in Germany as it stands, but the decision has been viewed as potentially paving the way for similar decisions in other nations. Kean Rayner reporting for TVJ Sports.